I love Resident Evil, but the Resident Evil 4 remake has had me very worried because we've heard they're changing bits and pieces of content, hoping no one would notice, and now we know they've changed basically everything about Ashley's character because they felt she deserved more agency and realism. They have now admitted they changed her mechanics, but also her iconic outfit. I have a bunch of things to show off, but before we get into the topic at hand, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So the first article that I'm going to be referencing is by DualShockers that says Resident Evil 4 Remake director explains reasons for changes to Ashley's character and the co-op mechanics, and I am going to be talking about this Niche Gamer one, talking about how they have removed her iconic skirt, and obviously I do not agree with any of these changes. This is a remake. You should be trying to, keep as much of the original content as possible. And that is not really what they are doing here. It says the directors have spoken with Game Informer about how Ashley's character will drastically change, and they explain the reasons behind the changes. It says originally the story put players in control of the US government special agent Leon Kennedy as he embarks on a mission to rescue her, the kidnapped daughter of the US president. The rescue takes place in the first quarter of the story, and the rest of the campaign focuses on the duo's escape from the Spanish village where she was being held. The changes involved making this return journey more humane and realistic, both for Ashley's character and for the players. I hate the realism excuse. I am playing a video game about zombies. Okay, I'm saving the president's daughter. I don't care about realism. But that is always their excuse, and it also has to do with her outfit change as well, because they basically say that her skirt is unrealistic. It says, though, for example, in the original game, players could tell Ashley to stay put until they finished clearing the enemies, but that's no longer possible. She will continue to follow Leon, as it's realistically inconceivable that she would be left alone in such a dangerous environment. The point of having her stay back and stay hidden was the fact that she couldn't get hurt, and she was safer until he cleared out the, area. Now, she just follows you, meaning she'll probably end up dying a bunch of times, because if any of the creatures come up from behind you, they're probably going to end up getting her first, which I have a feeling is going to annoy the hell out of players. And again, this realism excuse is just absurd. Yeah, you know what? It is kind of realistic that she would be left alone, because then the creatures would not be focused on her. They would be focused on Leon, who was the one with the weapon. It says the goal was to convey the feeling of protecting someone to the players, so having Ashley come and go in the original game didn't really establish that, so now they've basically made it a follow quest, where she has to follow you and you have to defend her, and if you don't get her from point A to point B, she ends up dying and you fail your quest, which I do think is going to be a very drastic change that probably will end up annoying people gameplay-wise. It says that she can also climb ladders and crawl through spaces, making the obstacles harder and more focused on her tag team co-op with Leon, not just being rescued by him. That doesn't sound bad, adding a little bit more gameplay to her, like she can climb ladders and crawl through spaces. That sounds like a good addition. It doesn't sound too different from the original, but again, you have all of these other changes going on now. It says Ashley will now be more serious and believable and will interact with him in a way that exudes more humanity than the game-like manner of the original. This sounds so annoying already. It sounds like they strong womaned her. They made her independent. She doesn't only need help from Leon. She doesn't just sit back and wait for him to do the job. She's right there with him. She's more serious and believable now. I used to actually really like her character, and I have a feeling all of these changes are going to add up. And we also know that they have done the same thing to her that they did to Jill in the Resident Evil 3 remake, because they have now removed her iconic skirt. It says that Capcom has shared a large gameplay portion for the remake, giving us a look at some new scenes and content, and the gameplay was done to showcase what players can expect the game to play like, but some fans have noticed one other change when it comes to the characters. Most notable is that Ashley, whom we already knew to have changed her outfit from the brief appearances we've had of her, is no longer rocking her iconic skirt in the original. It should be mentioned that these are skirts, not shorts. Promotional materials show her appearing to wear a skirt when seeing it from the front. In the original game, players could attempt to look up her skirt during certain sequences, and this would lead to a humorous reaction from her as she attempted to cover herself. So that is also a major change, because they did the same thing to Jill, where they added, shorts under her skirt. And yes, they do in real life sell skirts with shorts underneath, but most women don't wear them, and they're not popular at all. If this was like a new trend that was really big, I'd understand it, but it's not. And it wasn't in the original game either. And now all of those funny dialogue options between these two characters that really showed them bonding and, being playful with each other are going to be removed because she doesn't have a skirt to look up anymore. I am so disappointed with all of these changes. And yes, I am still fairly excited for this remake because I love Resident Evil. It's one of my favorite franchises of all time. But hearing about this really makes me question why we even are getting this, because ultimately, yes, it's about money. They want to make more money, and they know that people love Resident Evil 4, but I just have a feeling that this is going to face a lot of scrutiny because Resident Evil 4 is so beloved, and when you're making changes to a game like this, people are going to call you out on it. The article also points out the VR version of the game was censored, and I did talk about that. Basically, they removed a lot of offensive content for modern audiences. You couldn't look up her skirt anymore. A lot of the flirtatious dialogue lines were removed from the title. And yeah, they just unfortunately have been butchering every new version of Resident Evil 4. These are all very disappointing things to hear. I will most certainly be keeping my eye on this in the future. I am feeling like there's a lot of red flags right now, but let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video and found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.